They can now click on a machine with far more acuity and knowledge than I can, and find out what a great artist would do. These pieces are, by the way, recorded. It's not just little kids play it and leave it aside. Great artists will consider doing these kinds of pieces, and not just illustratively for pedagogical reasons. A group of these on an all-Schumann recital is something I'd like to do, along with the Fantasy and along with the F-sharp minor sonata, which are gargantuan pieces. Some music that relates to kids and beginners and adults who haven't played in 50 years and come back. I'm sure you all have some of those. I have one or two in my small, wishing it were larger studio. Perfect from the standpoint of teaching how to listen. Let's listen to another one you all know. And ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, this piece that you all know, and you're going to laugh when you hear it, in my repertoire is about a week old. I just learned that. I escaped that when I was a kid, and I got to tell you why I escaped it. I thought the middle section was too hard. I wasn't much for doing things that I couldn't get right away. I have to confess this to you. But I've always liked the piece. Ever look up who Knight Rupert is? Was?
Yeah.
Better be good. Better be good, or he's going to come and give you what for before Christmas time. All right, this is something that a little kid in 1848 would have really taken to. But what are we listening for in this piece? And of course, there's some technical issues too, the quick playing. But what are we listening for? Well, in the first place, we want to teach something about a two-note phrase. And how to integrate that into a phrase that has got rapid finger work, staccato chords, and a two-note phrase line. So we are being asked to do 3 different articulations in 4 bars of music. We don't have trouble with that. I don't think anybody in this room would have a lot of trouble with that. But put yourself in the place of a 10 or an 11 or whatever age, or a 70-year-old adult. That is hard to do, ladies and gentlemen. And even though I'm not saying this was a major technical problem for me, I had to think about it more than once. I knew what the sound was, but I had to think about it more than once in order to get it to a place where I said, well, I'm going to take a chance and play it for a group of people who know exactly what's going on. How you teach it is your business. I'd be interested to know what you do. But what you teach, I bet a lot of you have had people, if you've given this piece, come in playing it slowly and yes, something like that. I'm not trying to make fun. I don't mean at all to make fun. Most young students don't look at the two-note phrase or the dot or the accent or the sforzando. They read only the notes and the stems. And those are important. But as I have said to many, many students, you can miss a note, but miss it beautifully. So if you had got, this is the way you would have played the right note if you were playing musically. I missed 3 notes in there. One of them I didn't intend to. But it's truly a missed note. But it should sound like it belongs to its context. So those phrase notes, those articulation notes, those sforzandi, those changes of tempo, retards, all of that must be studied. And may I offer the suggestion as to the how. This is not something that you put in next week after we get the notes. We'll put in the expression. I've heard that phrase, and I hope I'm not stepping on anyone's toes too badly when I say that I don't agree with that. You learn a piece holistically. If Schumann writes retard, you do the retard even if it's clumsy, even if it won't be musical. It has to grow inside you to be musical. But it's really important to take all of the instructions on the page, from the name of the piece. If there's a metronome marking, at least get an idea of what it sounds like, and never mind the fact that we think Schumann's metronome is faulty. Maybe, maybe not. All metronomes are faulty, by the way. My teacher insisted that I was speeding up. And I said, my metronome is off. He said, bring your metronome in next week. So I did. I brought it in, and we put it on. And you know what? His and mine both were on. I couldn't accept the fact that I was speeding up. But the metronome doesn't lie. Never mind whether it's broken up. I'm talking about one that works. So those are basic things to teach. Then that middle section, it's busy. One of the things that we teach, and by the way, I have a young student who is fabulous at this. She's not a virtuoso pianist, but she does her own fingering with a pencil and writes it in, and much of the time it is very, very good fingering. Better than what I would come up for her. I have honestly, I've had very, very few students in my 47 years at Michigan who actually did that. That's not good or bad for those students, but my fingering for a certain piece is not necessarily going to be the best fingering for anybody in this room. And she worked enough to find the fingering. Once in a while it's a little bit, once in a while she's doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5. I said, that's just not going to work, or if you're going to be playing repeated notes, I forget what the piece was, but there was something with some repeated notes, and she was, no, we got it. So that is something that I was teaching her, but how you teach that again is up to you. But fingering, if fingering is there, my teacher, I could see my teacher going bald during lessons, frustrated that the little kid who was so talented played whatever fingering he felt like playing. It took a while for me to understand that fingering was really, really important. And not because it's on the page, but because it produces a sound that you have to listen for. Again, I'm going back to the Bach that I started. I was actually going to walk out and play that and talk about that. But I'm going back to the Bach that we work with so importantly because he set the bar for everybody who followed. Now look, is it 11 o'clock that I have to shut up? My carriage turns into a pumpkin?
7 minutes.
Some questions, please, some comments. Yes, please.
You mentioned that things came pretty easy for you, and then when it became difficult, you decided, oh, I don't want to play that. When did you...
I need a priest. It's not my religion, but I need a booth and a priest.
What inspired you or motivated you to actually start working?
Oh my goodness, I'll make it quick. My first day in the registration line at Juilliard, two guys who became very, very close friends of mine. The guy in front of me, I think, had just played Tchaikovsky with the Los Angeles Philharmonic. He was a freshman, my age. Jan was about 2 months older than I. Roman behind me was about to play the Ravel Concerto with the Haddonfield Symphony. And my big piece when I was a kid, and then there was somebody, not long after that, there was somebody who looked younger than I was actually playing. It wasn't Manny Axe. He didn't come until 4 years after I was there. I never knew that people did. I thought records did that. Honestly, I'm not being, this is not hyperbole. That was an eye-opener for me, and I can, as I'm telling you this, I can live that line. And both Jan and Roman became very close friends of mine, and I was forever, to this day, trying to catch up to what my deficit as a talented but wayward kid, and they worked. It's a lesson I'm still learning. Yeah. But being in the company of people who could do far more. I mean, I'd never met anybody with perfect pitch. Rudnitsky had perfect pitch, the guy behind me. Robertson didn't, but he had a very well-trained ear. So I could tell you what a C was. That's not very important. It's like saying I know the first initial of your letter, of your name. It's an E. But I don't know your name, and I don't know who you are. Knowing the name of a note is very unimportant. The relationship of notes is critical. That's listening. And when I learned those things that I'm sharing with you now with a certain amount of intensity, I think, that's when I started. Then, further to answer that question, my second year, I was not having a good time at school, but I met this kind of nice, cute honey blonde. And she was playing the Mendelssohn G minor piano concerto. I wouldn't touch that to this day. But she played it, and we hung out in the practice room with two pianos, and I accompanied her. And she played the first movement. It was stunning. Then she played the Black Key Etude, which I've never learned up to tempo. And she played the G-sharp minor Prelude and Fugue from Book 1, which I have played many times. It's one of my favorite of all. And eventually what happened is that in 1966, a very nice rabbi in Newport News, Virginia, married us. Julie was a profound influence on me because her work ethic was beyond words. So I told you this is the short story. If you have 3 cups of coffee and a lot of patience, I'll tell you the long story. So another question, please.
I was just wondering what would happen if in the humming song, instead of doing the ostinato as the 3rd rung, you used it to fill it in to make it more humming?
To fill it,
The gaps. The gaps of the melody to make it more humming.
you mean ad-lib the melody?
Yeah. Humming.
Yeah. So I,
Yeah, if you can bring the ostinato to fill in the melody more rather than thinking of it as a soft 3rd rung.
I'm not sure. What would I do?
Yeah, you make it part of the melody. So, yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's okay, no, I haven't.
Maybe after you show me what you mean, because
It's all right, I'll do it.
I mean you could obviously. You ever ask your kids to improvise?
Yeah.
How many kids, if you say improvise, will just all of a sudden your rug becomes one of the most fascinating things in the world? Yes, we do. As students, you know, the keyboard teacher would say, "I want you to improvise an 8-bar phrase on the following bass line." And everybody, there was no rug on the floors at Juilliard, but you could pretend there was one. Yes.
For my youngest ones, I just happened upon not saying, now we're going to improvise, but listen. And I played, I don't know, da-dee-da-dee, answer back.
Yeah.
Answer back to me. And they'll try, no.
Yeah.
Da-dee-da-dee-dee, answer back. And I realized, yeah, we're having this conversation without calling it something academic, you know? And they think we're playing a game, and you know, they're just freely answering back. And then we build on that.
What is the value, just I know, I'm sorry for going over time, you can all leave and I'll talk to myself, but what's the value of improvising? Go back to what I said about singing.
Developing your inner ear.
Yeah. Improvising is the closest thing to singing that we have because it's coming from inside out.